Okay, so we'll start here. Welcome to Winterviews, Series 2, Episode 9. I am your host, Catherine Silva, Cat for short, and today we have the almighty Brian Bowyer joining us to talk about rock and roll in horror. How are you doing today, Brian?
Doing great, Catherine. Thanks for having me.
I'm very excited that you could join us. I have been a fan of your work for a long time, and I know quite a few of the people in the audience are also fans, so it's going to be lots of fun to get down into the details of how you write and how rock and roll inspires some of your writing. So, without further ado, would you like to give anyone in the audience who might not know you a small introduction?
Sure, I am Brian Bowyer, 49 years old. I'm from Beckley, West Virginia originally, but I have lived throughout the United States and I currently live in Marion, Ohio. I have worked at an automotive factory for the past 6 years, which is the longest I have ever worked anywhere. And when I'm not doing that, I enjoy reading and writing lots and lots of horror fiction.
Hmm. Yes,
And I'm a fan of your work, by the way.
thank
The White
you.
Star and Hallowed Oblivion were two of my favorite fairly recent reads.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Um, I had just finished reading Brian's book, Alive Undead, this year, which was an awesome wild ride. I loved it. Um, you just had a new book come out, as I understand it. Would you mind telling everybody what the title of that is and where they can find it and sort of what it's about?
Yeah, it's called Kill Factor. It's a novella, about 150 pages, something like that. It's through Potter's Grove Press. I submitted it to River Dixon sometime last year, and he liked it. I didn't even know River Dixon ran a press. I just came across one of his short stories in an anthology called Between a Spider's Eyes, and the story in it was called, I got it written down, the Water Revival. Yeah, and to me it was the standout. I was like, man, this dude is just wicked, man. So I looked him up and got like three of his books, Chapman, The Stories in Between, and The Smell of Cedar, and I read all three of them in a row. And then I found out that he owned the press, so that's when I submitted Kill Factor to him last year. And I was like, you may not even like it, man, but I liked your stuff. So anyway, here, I'm going to send you this. And then, or can I send you this? I'll send him a query and, like, a sample. And he was like, yeah, send it on over. And I sent it. And then I didn't hear anything for like 6 months. And then, sure enough, he was like, yeah, I want to publish that. So,
There you go.
but yeah, there's this dude named Lamarcus, and he escapes a mental ward to rescue his daughter from her psychotic mother. And another patient flees with him to assist. And when he meets the other man's beautiful serial killer sister, Lamarcus realizes that the madness has only begun.
All right.
So that's what it's about.
Sounds
And
like
there's a lot of crazy stuff from page one to the end.
a hell of a story and definitely one that I will be picking up here very soon. Um, Today's topic is about rock and roll in horror. So my first question for you is, can you tell us what it is about rock and roll that really sings to you in the horror genre?
I don't know. I've just always liked rock and roll, and I've always liked horror. Um, when I was 4 years old, I had a 14-year-old cousin who lived right across the street from my parents' house. His mom was my father's sister, so his mother was my Aunt Lou. And my parents were like really strict fundamentalist Christians, but they would allow me to go over there. And he later on became a member of the Avengers Motorcycle Club, but at 14, he was still too young to drive, but he had dirt bikes out in his father's garage all the time, so he'd be out there tinkering with his dirt bikes. and I'd go and hang out in the garage and listen to the music that he was listening to. And as long as I didn't talk a lot, as long as I didn't get on his nerves and let him do all the talking and tell his stories, he wouldn't kick me out, and I could just sit there and listen to Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath. I love those two. I mean, he listened to Kiss and Pink Floyd too a lot, and I didn't like those two, but I loved the Kiss and I loved the Black Sabbath. And then he took me to see Star Wars when I was 4 years old, so that was cool. I couldn't even read yet. I didn't even know how to read, so he was reading the words on the screen to me a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And then 3 years later, when I was 7, he was 17, so he was driving, and he took me to another movie. And he had only told my mom that it was a horror movie that he had been wanting to see. And she didn't ask him anything about it. She was like, yeah, he can go. So on the way there, I was like, so what's this movie we're going to see? And he said it's The Shining.
Oh, man.
So he took me to see The Shining on a big screen in 1980 when I was 7.
Wow.
So that's, I guess, blame him. He got me into rock and roll and horror.
Blame him for the good stuff. He's set you on the path to excellence.
Yeah. Yeah, he killed himself a couple years ago.
Oh, that's really sad. I'm sorry about that.
Believe it or not, he shot himself in the heart.
Oh, God.
Of all the things. And I guess he didn't want to fuck his face or his head up, so he took a .32 caliber pistol and shot himself in the fucking heart.
Wow.
But he was just ready to. He was just ready to go. He was already like pushing 60. He just wanted to check, I guess.
Yeah, sounds like it.
But he lived a long, nice, happy life, and I guess he just got sick of living that life and killed himself.
Well, I guess that's the reason most of the time.
Yeah.
So, rock is often referred to in several books as the devil's music. And you said that you grew up, your parents were Christian. So how did they respond to you sort of like falling in love with rock and roll and horror?
There was nothing they could do about it, and they knew that. They didn't like it, but they had very little control over me. Once I turned 11, I was basically uncontrollable. And I told them at a breakfast table when I was 11 years old one morning on a Sunday morning that I was never going to church again, and they couldn't make me. And they knew that, so they didn't even bother attempting to make me go to church anymore. And then after that, I was basically out on my own, either living in hotels or getting locked up in juvenile facilities, whatever. So, but yeah, they didn't really they considered rock and roll the devil's music, definitely. Yeah, there was a lot of that.
It's like I immediately picture the opening scene. I don't know if you've seen the Tenacious D movie, The Pick of Destiny, or not.
No,
but
I know what it is, but
there's an opening scene where, Jack Black as a kid is sort of at his dinner table sitting with his Christian family, and then he starts singing about rock and roll, and his dad, just like throws him in his room, and then he runs away to start a rock band. But
that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So
very talented dude.
He is.
Any of the movies, but yeah.
How when you write about rock and roll in your books, do you follow in like talking about rock and roll as like the devil's music, like literally at all, or do you kind of, what's your twist on using rock and roll in your writing?
Oh, I don't have any plans at all when I'm writing. It just whatever comes out, so whatever happens. A lot of my characters tend to be musicians or artists or writers or alcoholics or drug addicts or criminals. And I just go wherever they go. I just follow them. I'm just watching them and writing down what I see them do. So but I don't really go in with any preconceived notion of any of it. So I don't know.
and my next question actually was about that. It was several of your characters are musicians. Um, I know you have posted a few videos of yourself playing guitar. Um, so, what's I would assume that you are also a musician and kind of wanted to know a little bit more about that.
Oh yeah, I used to play a lot of guitar as a teenager. I started when I was 14, and I got pretty good pretty fast. But I practiced a lot. But it was one of those things that came easy to me. I'm not good at a lot of things, so when something comes easy to me, I'm like, hey, okay, I bet I should stick with this. But it was just to get girls. I just wanted to get chicks mainly, and I wanted to be in a band. So I was in a band like within 6 months. I was in a rock band from the time I started playing, and then but by the time I was like 23 in 1996, I was pretty much done with guitar. And ever since then, I just pick it up here and there and play 5 minutes at a time and put it down. That's about it. I haven't been a serious musician in a long time, since 1996. So
Okay.
over a quarter of a century.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I got more into the writing around that time.
okay. What was the
Yeah.
name of the band, just out of curiosity?
Oh man, one of the last bands I was in was called Warmonger. I
Hmm.
was in another band called Anxiety. I was in a band called Angel Casket. That was
Oh.
an unusual story how we came up with that name. We were at the bass player's mother's house, fucking blasted on drugs and alcohol, man. And I saw this CD case on the bar between the kitchen and the living room, and I thought it said Angel Casket. I picked it up, and I was like, Angel Casket, man, they gotta be fucking heavy. And he started laughing at me. He said, dude, it's a Christian singer named Angela Cassett. And I went, oh, my bad. I was fucked up, dude. I thought it said Angel Casket. He's like, man, let's call the band Angel Casket. So that's how we got that. And
That's
I don't even know
amazing.
who the fuck Angela Cassett is. Apparently it's some Christian singer
Yeah.
chick.
Hell
But
if I know.
I've been in a few. Yeah.
That is wonderful, and I love that. And all right, Kat. Now is
Yeah.
not the time. Don't do it. Stop it. He's a demon. I swear. I'm sorry. Um, having read your last book, Alive Undead, it's clear that things go from 1 to 11 very quickly in your work. I know that book was, you've talked about that book as being kind of more of a departure from your usual style. You went kind of minimalist in it. How did you approach that book, just sort of conceptually?
Those twins, Sirius and Olivia, just popped into my head. I didn't really have any plan to even write a vampire novel. They just like showed up in my head one day, and so I was like, okay, and I just started following them around, and then I was like, well, I got to have something here. So I was like, well, let's just say they want to meet their father. So I was like, well, let me go back and create their dad, Valkalar. So I just began it with him. So I had Valkalar in a bar meeting another vampire. Zolkers. No, not Zolkers. I can't remember what the motherfucker's name was. Zora. I don't remember, man. That's been like 5 books back for me. But anyway, he tells Valkalar that he met this chick in New York that knew him, that wanted him to come to New York, that she had missed him for a couple hundred years or some shit. And he starts getting like these telepathic, like, feelings, I guess, like pulling him to where his children were.
Mm-hmm.
They were somehow like drawing him where they were, and then he ends up killing their mom and taking them on the road with him. And then I just along for the ride. But the first draft was like twice as long.
Yeah.
And then when I went through it, I was like, I'm just cutting out all this fucking shit. And I just really, really made it as minimalistic as I possibly could. But I had a lot of fun with it.
Nice. Was there a reason
Yeah.
that you decided to go minimalistic with it? Was it just kind of like a feeling, or?
I'm trying to do that a lot, all the time now. I
Okay.
try to keep I'm pretty minimalistic. But with that one, I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to get rid of everything unless I feel it is just has to be on the page. If there's any chance that I could remove it, I'm going to remove it.
Okay.
And there were times I would remove stuff. I'd be like, nah, I gotta put it. It needs to at least have this, or people are just not even going to know. It's not even going to be a story. It's like, you're going to be the only one, Brian, who even knows this shit if you take all of it out. So.
I'm just checking. There's been a lot of comments here, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing anything. Wayne Fenlon is in the chat. He mentioned that he's reading your memoir.
I just finished his first novel today. The Black Cabin. I just finished it today. I started it yesterday and finished it today, and I loved it, man.
Yes, that's right. And Wayne has a new book that's coming. Is it out yet, or is it coming out?
The Black Cabin, I just finished it today.
So, maybe it's out. I
read it today.
Missed it.
Yeah.
And
and it was great, by the way.
So, everybody, if you are writing down the books that you need to get, The Black Cabin is one, and all of Brian's books are on that list as well. And Candace is in the chat. Candace Knoll is in the chat, and she says that she loves your birthday serenades. Those are so cool.
Hi, Candace. I love her positive Twitter posts every day.
Yes, Candace is very positive on Twitter, and it's really, really enjoyable. And yeah. I do have to agree with her. Your birthday serenades are really fun to watch.
Oh, they're fun to do.
And I remember... Are you on TikTok too, Brian? I feel like you are. Okay. Mm-hmm. I feel like I've seen a few of your videos on TikTok, including one that is... I sometimes go back and watch it just because it makes me really smile. And it's the one where you're talking about wearing a hat to work and some lady, like, goes off on you. And I don't know why... Yes, that one. I don't know why, but it just makes me really happy. You're like, just like sort of like whatever attitude at this random lady. So thank you for that.
Yeah. See, I work in an automotive factory, but I don't work on the assembly lines. I'm always in a back drive shaft cell, either by myself or with one other person. So I don't talk to these people. I don't know these people. And the vast majority of them, and there's a high turnover rate anyways. I mean, you'll see a face there, then you won't see it again. Mm-hmm. And then the next day you'll see another face, and you won't see it again. People come and go, man. And so I didn't know this lady. And then apparently she had seen me more than once. And I usually do have a hat on because I freeze to death in that factory, even with my thermal on and my uniform shirt over my thermal. And I have to wear a hard hat in the drive shaft area, but I put a toboggan on under that because I'm always cold. But I'm 6'5" and I only weigh 145, and so I'm just cold. And she was told me that I needed to eat a fucking cheeseburger. I just thought it was funny. So.
God, you're 6'5"? Holy shit!
Yeah.
That is insane. I did not think you were that tall.
Yeah. Here, I'll show you the word. Can you still see me?
Yep. Oh, wow.
There's the door for my apartment.
Holy smokes.
Here's my living room. Look how empty my living room is.
It's very minimalist, like yourself.
Yeah. I moved in here in either September or October, and I have not put anything here. I love it like this, man. I just got one guitar, one amplifier, one laptop, my phone, a coffee maker, single twin mattress, and that's it, man. A couple chairs, and I am good.
I mean, hey, that's keep it simple, no
Yeah,
distractions. I get it.
yeah, I love it. Yeah, my
Um,
second wife and I separated a few months back, and I let her keep everything. I didn't bring anything from her place to my new apartment. And when it got real cold right before Christmas here in Ohio, and the power went out around here, and
mhm.
my power didn't go out, but my thermostat went bad in this apartment. I
Oh
hadn't even been in here
no.
long, so the maintenance dude had to come over here and replace my thermostat. And he walked in and saw that I didn't have any furniture. He's like, "You haven't even got moved in yet, man. It's been like 2 months." I was like, "Motherfucker, I'm moved in, man." I said, "I like to live this way, because if something happens, I can fit everything in my car and get the fuck out of town
Mhm.
like that in one trip." You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
No, I like it, man. If I decide to go somewhere, I can go. I don't. It wouldn't even take me 2 trips. I can fit everything I need in my car and be gone. And I got enough money to last me 10 years. I just work so I don't have to touch the money I have in savings.
That's
But
smart too.
that's why I work. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I mean, I'm not. If I gotta go, I ain't worried about my job. I'll go get a job somewhere down the road, whenever, wherever, doing whatever. I don't care.
Hmm.
But yeah, I love this place, man.
That's awesome.
But I don't even know if I'm gonna be sticking around Ohio now that me and Carissa separated. But I'm just here. I still like it, so
Yeah.
I haven't decided to leave. I haven't decided to leave or anything. I was going to leave Ohio about 8 years ago. I've been here 10 years now, and then I met Carissa at the hospital. She still works at the hospital. I was working at the hospital there as a janitor. I got fired from there for drinking on the job. That's when
Oh
I still
no.
drank 24. And I hadn't had a job in years, man. I mean, I would go long stretches of my life without working anywhere because I had money in the bank from all the prior criminal activities. But
Hmm.
whatever. But so I got a job at the hospital, and I was a janitor, but I was still drinking 24/7 back then. And everyone knew it, but they didn't care, man. They like, "Brian's fine." They'd come up to me in the hallway, nurses and shit, like, "Brian, put this gum in your mouth. We can smell this alcohol." Or you know, I'd be like, "Okay, thank you." But there was this second shift charge nurse. I mean, she was a first shift charge nurse, but she stayed over for second shift one evening because we worked second shift. And she hollered at me out in the hallway. She was like, "Sir, can you come and get the trash out of my office because housekeeping missed it?" And I was like, "Sure." And I walked into her office and talked her fucking head off where I was drunk on liquor, man, and she could smell it all over me. So she called the security guards.
Oh
It was like, "You need to
no.
breathalyze this man." And they all knew me, man. They knew I was drunk on the clock, and they didn't care, but they had to do their job and breathalyze me. So I was like,
Oh.
"Hold on." I said, "Hold on. Before I blow in this breathalyzer, I want my union rep," because it was a union position. Not all the positions in that hospital were union positions, but I was technically employed through housekeeping as the janitor slash custodian. So they had to get a union rep in that hospital like 10 o'clock at night. The union rep gets there, and I'm like, "Okay, before I blow in this breathalyzer, I want to formally admit that I am a lifelong alcoholic, and I am hereby requesting to participate in this company's drug and alcohol dependency treatment program." And then I blew 6 times over the legal limit. I blew like a .54. So they sent
God.
me home on what was called a decision-making suspension.
Mm.
Paid. I got paid to go home, and I didn't care if
Okay.
they fired me or not because I got money in the bank. You know what I'm saying? So I just went home and was like, "Fuck it, take your time making your decision." And they decided to send me to rehab. So they sent me to, they ended up sending me to 4 rehabs over a year's time. They sent me to Talbot Hall, Beckett Springs, OSU, and Neil Kennedy Recovery Center in Youngstown. This was like going into rehab and get paid. I
Mhm.
was getting paid while I was in rehab. And then I'd get out, and I'd get back to the hospital. I'd be like, "I'm drinking on the clock, man. I don't give a fuck." It was just like a game to me. And I'd just go there and keep going in there and being a janitor. And then finally, I never even did get fired. They just said, "Here, sign here stating that you're resigning." That was some kind of union rep magic that my union rep worked. So I didn't get terminated. I just willingly resigned. And they said I'm rehireable if I ever
Huh.
got help. And I did get help. I actually got to where I only drink at night, which I went to another rehab. And it was kind of hard getting to this. That's where I've been for 6 years now. I only drink at night.
Mhm.
So I'm there. I don't drink
Yeah.
all the time like I used to. I was going to leave Ohio before all that, but that's where I met Carissa. So then I was with her for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been in Ohio for 10 years, but we recently separated. So I may just bounce. I may just leave Ohio. I don't know. But I mean, because I kind of like it here. But we'll see.
Yeah. And your characters seem to do a lot of traveling too, so could be a good writerly experience to go on the road for a while.
Yeah.
Just making sure that I'm not missing anything in the chat. I'm not. There's no questions. Is there any rock and roll in the new release?
No.
No.
I don't think there is.
Okay.
No.
Are you working on anything that contains any rock and roll?
Yes. The novella that I just finished today, I started it on New Year's Day. I finished a novel on New Year's Eve that I'd been working on for 9 months, and then I went straight into this novella on New Year's Day, and I finished it today. And there's a lot of rock and roll in that.
All right.
And it's really like it's a real dark teenage romance. There's a dude named Chad and a chick named Chloe, and then there's a band in the novella, and their name is Swamp Peacock. And Chloe, she's 15, and her boyfriend Chad is 15, and the singer in that band, Swamp Peacock, he's 22, and he's like friends with Chad, the 15-year-old boy, but he doesn't want to be in a relationship with Chloe, because he like thinks, I don't want to be in love.
Mm-hmm.
I love you too much. This is no good, man. We should just be friends. And she's like, that's fine. So she starts fucking his friend, that 22-year-old singer in the band, Swamp Peacock. And then trying to make Chad jealous. And Chad's like, I don't even care. But then it just goes crazy from there, man. And there's that. There's a lot of rock and roll in that.
Okay.
But I finished that one today. But it was a lot of,
Swamp Peacock.
But the 22-year-old, Swamp Peacock, that's the name of the band. Jack is the singer.
Okay.
And, so he's 22. He's 22, and he's fucking a 15-year-old chick named Chloe. But she initiated every bit of it, man. He didn't even want anything to do with it. But when you read the book, you'll see what I mean.
Okay.
She's kind of hard to say no to. She's like a psycho killer chick, man. She's not like what you're thinking. She's fucking pure evil.
All right. Well.
Yeah.
When do you think that one is gonna come out?
2024, 2025 at the earliest, something like that, probably. I got all kinds of stuff finished. It's not even out. That's just something I finished today. So.
All right. I'll keep my eyes peeled for that one in the coming future.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite rock and roll bands besides the ones that you have mentioned? And then I see you have Metallica on, so that must be another one.
I love their first 3 albums. Metallica, man. Yeah, they changed my life in 1984 with their second album, Ride the Lightning. I heard that when I was 11, and I was not the same person after I heard that. Because before then, the heaviest I had heard was like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Dio, that type of stuff. And I was 11 years old, and I was in a place called National Record Mart in Beckley, West Virginia, and I saw that electric blue album cover with the electric chair on the cover. And I was like, Metallica, they gotta be fucking heavy. My little brother was with me. He was 9 years old at the time, and we each had like $10 in our pockets, which you could buy anything for $10 in 1984. So I was like, let me see if they got it in the cassette section. So I went over to the cassette section, and they had it.
Nice.
And it had just come out that year, Elektra Records, 1984. So we got in my mom's car to go back to the house, and I ripped the cellophane off and put the tape in the tape deck, and that acoustic guitar intro came on, and then it went straight into Fight Fire with Fire, and I was like, what the fuck, dude? And my mom was like, "Take it out! I can't take it! I can't take it!" She couldn't even drive. The music was
Oh.
after crazy. I was like, "That's cool." I hit eject. We took that home. Me and my brother played that motherfucker all night, man. Side one, side two, side one, side two of the cassette over and over. And so then I found out very soon thereafter that they had another CD or a cassette. This one, Kill 'Em All, that had come out a year before. That was their debut in 1983. So of course I got that one and loved it. And then we Metallica fans had to wait 2 years for Master of Puppets. That didn't come out until 1986 when I was 13. And then I wasn't much into their stuff after that. I mean, that Justice for All that came out in '88, that was so to me. And then I hated the Black Album and basically everything after until Death Magnetic. Years later, in 2008, when I was a 35-year-old man, homeowner in West Virginia, and my 15-year-old son showed up at my house one day and was like, "Dad, your boys are back." And I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He was like, "Metallica, man. They finally put out some shit that sounds like their old stuff." I thought he was joking. I was like, "Man, get the fuck out of here, man. Metallica has fucking sucked for 20 fucking years." He was like, "Nah, dude, put it in." And he handed me the Death Magnetic CD, and I threw it in, and that was one of the happiest days of my life. I was like,
so
"Oh
awesome.
my God, man, Metallica's back." And they were. That was really good. But you know what, man? They got rid of Bob Rock as a producer and got in Rick Rubin to produce that album, and that made a big difference. They also had a new bass player. That was the one after Jason Newsted left, and they got in Robert on the bass, and yeah, that was good. But then I haven't really liked their stuff after that. I wasn't crazy about Hardwired to Self. So really, there's just, I like some Metallica. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
But yeah, I like Lamb of God. I like Pantera. I like Slayer. I like a lot of stuff. I love the old rap stuff like Biggie and Tupac, Jay-Z, stuff like that.
Nice.
And of course, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath.
Yeah. Nice. I hadn't
Gangster rap and heavy metal.
I hadn't listened to a lot of Metallica until I started working on Dan and Andy's Karaoke Holiday, which was very rock inspired because my coworker is very into Metallica. So I now get the awesomeness that is early Metallica. What are I don't know if you have delved into any other like rock and roll horror books or films or anything, but do you have any that you can think of that sort of like tick your boxes?
Mad Black Wheel.
Oh,
Mad
Josh.
Black Wheel by Ballerman.
Yeah.
Have you read that one?
I haven't read it,
Yeah,
but it's on my list.
Yeah, there's a band called the Danes. They're sent by the U.S. Army to go to this desert in Africa to track down the source of that fucking weird ass noise. Let's see, Heart-Shaped Box by Joe Hill.
Yep.
There's an aging rock star, and he orders a suit online that is haunted by the ghost of its former owner. That was good. The Scream from back in the 80s by John Skipp and Craig Spector. There's a band in that book. The band in the book is called The Scream, and their fans commit murders and start riots as the band plays their way to its enemy on that final tour. The Kill Riff by David J. Scow. That's a good one from back in the day, man. There's a Vietnam vet, and he's been in therapy following the tragic death of his daughter at a rock concert. And so he convinces his therapist he's okay, but he's really not, and he wants to go seek revenge against the band whose concert his daughter died at.
Gotcha.
Have you ever read that short story by Stephen King called You Know They Got a Hell of a Band?
I just heard of it today and was really interested in it.
Yeah, there's a couple, a man and a woman, who get lost traveling through Oregon, and they end up in this town of dead rock stars.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's really good.